So if you're looking for a female James Bond with a little bit of Jason Bourne and a lot of John Wick sprinkled in, I've got just the movie for you. Hi, I'm Danny Quinn, and welcome to another episode of First Impressions. On today's episode, Charlize Theron travels to Berlin on a secret mission as the Atomic Blonde. This movie is set in 1989 against the backdrop of the collapse of the Berlin Wall. An MI6 agent, Lorraine Broughton, played by Charlize Theron, is sent to Berlin to recover a list carrying the names of various undercover agents in the field. Once she arrives, she is immediately caught in a game of spies and deceit as she attempts to unravel the identity of a double agent known as Satchel, and reluctantly allies with Berlin agent David Purcell, played by James McAvoy, to uncover the truth. But as she delves further and further into Berlin's seedy underbelly, she finds that she can trust no one and discovers that someone might have been stringing her along the entire time. So I'm a pretty big fan of the John Wick franchise. I already gushed over how great the second film was back in February, and I also quite enjoy the original film too. So when I heard that David Leitch, one of the directors of the original John Wick, was going to be involved in a spy movie with Charlize Theron, I was definitely quite excited for it. It looked really damn good. And Atomic Blonde definitely has a lot of great things going for it. David Leitch brings a lot of flair and intensity to the directing. He also has a very good visual eye. It's a very good looking movie. It's slick and stylish, but also infused with a lot of grit, especially in the movie's action scenes. They're brutal, intense, and occasionally very messy. This isn't the kind of movie where people can shrug off being hit in the face or the stomach or anything like that. They're battered, they're bruised, they're struggling to walk. There's a good degree of realism to the action in this movie, and not the bullshit kind of realism that plagues most modern action movies nowadays. Leitch's use of camera work and editing also really complements the action in this movie too. There's no shaky cam or quick cutting or any bullshit like that. It all feels very naturalistic, and you're able to soak in the details and what's actually happening on screen. Nothing about the action in this movie feels fake, it all feels very real. Of course, the main highlight of this film is the staircase fight. It's such a vicious and ferocious action scene that's done entirely in one take. There's nothing clean or sanitised about it. It almost rivals the subway sequence in John Wick Chapter 2 as one of this year's best action sequences. At least ones that don't involve superheroes. And Charlize Theron is great in the role of Lorraine Broughton. She's very convincing in the action scenes, and she does manage to bring a lot of charisma and sexiness to the parts. She's got a good sense of humour, and the character herself is quite enjoyable too. She's smart, cunning, and a total badass, but the movie also hints at how this line of work psychologically affects her when she drops the whole ice-cold, uncaring facade. These moments are pretty brief overall, but they're a welcome addition and do help to flesh out the character of Lorraine somewhat. James McAvoy is also fantastic too as David Purcell, in yet another role that's kind of a departure from the roles he normally plays. He's this eccentric and kooky, but ultimately skilled and resourceful agent who sort of serves as Lorraine's guide throughout the city of Berlin. This very strange and unfamiliar world that she's not accustomed to. He's very entertaining, but he's also very unpredictable and very unnerving. He's got a very unsettling presence about him. And McAvoy is just great in the parts. And I also like the dynamic between him and Lorraine, where he's trying to help her, but she's unwilling to trust him. Sophia Boutelle is also really good as his French spy that's following Lorraine around. It's kind of yet another departure from the typical villain roles she's normally associated with, like in Kingsman or The Mummy. And she's good chemistry with Theron in their more intimate moments. The soundtrack is also great too. I like a lot of the songs chosen for the movie, and they help to capture the setting in the 1980s very well. There's a good mix of familiar and well-known tracks, as well as some more obscure or forgotten tracks as well. And I like how a lot of the music plays during the more violent and intense scenes in the film. Granted, it's not the best use of music in a film this year, considering we have Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Baby Driver to contend with. But it's still really good in its own right. For most of its running time, I was really enjoying Atomic Blonde. It's a lot of fun and the action scenes are great. But the execution of the film's plot and its lackluster third act does bring it down a little bit. The film is framed around its narrative device where Lorraine is recounting her mission to her superiors, which isn't necessarily a problem, but it does take away a lot of the tension from the movie, because you kind of know what's going to happen. And if I were directing the movie, I personally would have dropped that framing device or minimised it somewhat. Then again, if David Leitch thinks this is the best way to tell the story, then fair enough, it's his choice, it's his film. I'm just saying I personally would have done slightly differently if I'd been directing the movie. And I just feel that while the framing device might work well in a trailer, for instance, it doesn't work quite as well in the context of the actual film. And the film's third act is where the movie really begins to stumble. I was really engaged with the plot up to that point, even if it does borrow a lot from the first Mission Impossible movie, but the film's final third just doesn't work that well. It doesn't feel like an actual resolution of the film as much as it feels more like an extended epilogue. And that doesn't help with the constant twists and turns. I feel like they're just thrown in just to try and keep you on the edge of your seats. And the film's final plot twist requires a huge amount of suspension of disbelief for it to actually work. Atomic Blonde isn't quite as good as the John Wick movies, but it's still a lot of fun despite its messy plot and lacklustre third act. Charlize Theron is great as the lead, and David Leitch brings a lot of flair and excitement to the directing. I'm definitely excited to see what he brings to Deadpool 2 next year. The action scenes are very well filmed, brutal and exciting, with the staircase sequence being one of the movie's highlights. And the rest of the supporting cast are quite good, even if they are a little bit underutilised. But it suffers from an underwhelming third act and a plot that can get a little convoluted, with a few too many twists and turns. Nevertheless, I'm going to give Atomic Blonde a 7 out of 10. If you're an action movie fan, I'd recommend seeing this movie. It's not quite as good as the John Wick movies, but it's still very good in its own right, even despite its rather ropey third act and often convoluted plots. It's still a lot of fun. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back soon with reviews for The Hitman's Bodyguard, Logan Lucky, Detroit and American Made. But in the meantime, feel free to like the video, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, I'm Danny Quinn, and I hope you have a pleasant evening.